Hi everyone, welcome to another picture from Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. This is the 9th picture and we're over halfway now on our trinkets page. I hope you're following along and maybe even colouring along or doing similar items in other books that you may have. Today we've got a rather tricky item, to be honest, because we have got a big gemstone, mini gemstones and lots of intricate detailing on our goblet, but I'm looking forward to having some fun with it. Now I talk about the gemstone first. I mentioned this a lot before, but just in case you haven't heard it, with a gemstone never use a colour like this, oops, which is a sort of pastel-y milky type colour. It doesn't really look right. Go for something like this. This is a mini pencil, which is a less milky coloured and looks more like a gemstone in my opinion. I'm going to show you how to colour this one once I have erased, what's my eraser here, that little mark that I made with it when I dropped it. Okay, so this is a teeny tiny pencil. I'm not sure what it's called. I'm trying to find my booklet. Here it is. When I look I'll see it's a middle purple pink. Okay, from the Polychromos, which we've used for all of this page. And we're going to just do this one, we're going to do these a different colour. So when I do this sort of stone, I feel that this bit is close to me, so it's not going to be that dark, but I do want to do some darker areas on it, so I'm going to make it dark like that. Okay, so it's got a little bit of light and shade, so it looks shiny, but it isn't massively. Whereas these edges, particularly these ones down at the bottom, are going to be in shade and I think darker, but I like to leave a little gap of white to indicate shine. And this is quite straightforward. And there we go. Well, what I want to do is add a little bit of shine on the top there with a pen, but I will do that later at the end, or else I'm going to smudge it. I will just grab my pen out to remind me. I'll put it at the top of my page where you can't see it, so that hopefully I'll remember to do it. If not, I'll just show you. Look! Now my pen's dropped on the floor. Oops. It's obviously alive. What I was going to do was do a little line there and there on this main diamond part, so just parallel with the two edges. Okay, but hopefully I'll remember to do it. Oh, let's put that back at the top there so I remember. Now these dots, it's gonna these dots here are also look like little tiny gemstones, and I'm going to do them in a purple because I think that goes nicely with the pink. That's the only reason. What should we use? We might use this one. This is the Mauve. This is one of the darker purples that isn't a bluey shade in the Polychromos, oops, which is rather nice. I'll show you it, but it's very short. You probably can't see any writing on there. And because they're so small, it's just a case of colouring the whole thing in. Now I'm doing these first because when we come to doing the metal, we'll have to colour around them, and I find it easier if they're coloured in. Also, they're quite dark, so if you go over the top of them, it won't really matter. Now again, with my pen, I'll put a dot of white. Sorry, that went all blurred then, didn't it? I'll put a dot of white in the middle of each one, but I'm telling you now in case I forget. Okay, let's do our goblet. Now, we've done gold already on this page, so I'm thinking what I might do is try and do a slightly different shade of gold to give you a slightly different colour combination. So if you want to try something a bit different, you can. But I am still going to start with my dark brown. I'm going to use the burnt umber. So use a really dark brown, not as dark as a dark sepia, but quite dark, and do all the areas where you think there'll be shadow. Now I'm thinking I want to add some shape and shine to it, so I'm going to put some all the way around here, but not too dark. Now I'm ignoring this at the moment. It won't be ignored the whole time, but I find it easier. It's probably not as good doing it the way I'm doing it, but it's easier. And I'm all for ease. I'm going to put some more shade in later. We're just going to form our colour first, and then we'll come back in with this dark and add in some more shady areas. Now, as I always do with my metal, I'm going to make the shine go straight down the middle. There are people who do a sort of black line part the way through and then a white line. It looks amazing, but I've tried that and it hasn't worked for me. It could work for you very effectively, but not for me. Now we're going to do a different colour than we normally do. Normally when my next colour is a light brown. We're going to go for our burnt ochre, so we've got a slight orange tinge, and this will hopefully make it look a little different to the golds we've done before. So I'm going to go over the top of the brown and then bring that in quite a way, because we want to emphasize that colour, because it's a different colour to what we normally use. Now, I'm not sure whether we're going to end up with a coppery bronzy look or whether we're going to end up with an antique gold look. We'll find out. You can, you know, I just coloured over the top of that because it's so dark. I think we can get away with it, and it makes life a lot easier. You could do these as gems and these as gems, but it all adds complication to the small design of the goblet. There is a much larger goblet in this book, on the page where Ivy and House Mouse fall inside the goblet, and there you can really go to town with details. But this one isn't big, so I'm not going to. Now we're going to go on to my green gold. So this is back to a colour that I would normally use with my golds. And you can see it's changed it. If it's not orangey enough for you, you can go back in with even some orange or the ochre again. But we'll see how this develops. I'm going to stay open-minded at the moment and just slowly bring in this colour and see what happens, really. It's looking a little bit dull, not very shiny at the minute for me. So actually in the camera it looks really shiny. So yeah. Okay, well, I think we need to just bring in a little more there. That's it. Yeah, looking in the camera occasionally gives me a different angled view. I think I'm going to go next for this yellow. This is, let me just look on my chart, Naples Yellow. You'll forgive me for not being able to read it off the pencil. And again, right over all of it. Just helps to blend it all together. And for me, it's not showing orangey enough. So before I put on my final yellow colour, I'm going to add another layer of the burnt ochre. I'm not going to go for orange. No, I'm not going to go for orange. I'm just going to do the burnt ochre, so it's slightly orangey, because I don't really want to go too orangey. I'm trying to put more on the edge than in the middle to keep that idea of shadow, and it will emphasise that shine when we've just got that last layer in. This isn't very well blended, is it? So this should help us hopefully blend it all in a bit. Now people say that polys don't really blend, they just layer. Am I right? They just layer on top of each other. It's a different system, different technique to blending. But you can use this technique with pencils like Prisoners, which will smush together. Smooch, that's a whole different thing. But anyway, light cadmium yellow is my last colour, and I'm going to put this all over as well because it will brighten and help it to glow. I think I want to leave some white to give that shine in the centre. But not too much. Basically we're trying to trick the eye into seeing it shiny without leaving vast amounts of white paper, which can make it look like you didn't know what you were doing. There we go. Oh, it does look quite shiny. I'm quite happy with that. Now we want to emphasise some of the shadows on the goblet and some of the design. So I'm going to get my burnt umber again, which we used, remember, right at the beginning. I am just going to use it here because that bit wasn't very well blended. There we go. But that isn't, hopefully yours was blended well enough. So we're going to take a dark line under here. Now I want it to be still a little bit darker at the edges than in the middle, just so that it works with that shine. But it hopefully will make that look like it's a sort of rim that's sticking out a little bit. We can extend that shadow out a bit. We give that impression. Now all of these swirls, I want to put some shadow underneath, and I'm hoping that it will give the impression that they're embossed in the goblet. In fact, I'm going to go all the way around. I think that's going to work. I think we did that same thing on the cup, but for the cup we didn't go all the way around, we only did the bottom. I want to emphasize that as well to make it look like, so you can see they're two separate pieces. And I'm trying to put a little bit more at the bottom because there will be shadow, and there's going to be shadow under this because I think this gemstone is standing out from the goblet. Put a little bit top and bottom too, but not so much. It's a bit messy. Try to keep that even and not messy. Under there, and around the top, under this one. Sorry, I'm not talking much. It takes a bit of concentration trying to do this. I'm not very good at normally staying in lines and things, so I have to concentrate. There we go. Yeah, I think that's okay. Now, under here, I think there would be quite a lot of shadow from this, where this round part, the bowl, I suppose, is going to create some shadow on the stem. So I'm just extending that a little bit, and here too, I think, see that bit sticking out. Just be a little bit there, but more underneath. Maybe a little bit under here too. Let's just go over that line. I don't know what that quite is supposed to be, but we'll just emphasize it. There we are. I am going to now remember to do the white. So I'm going to do a dot on each of these purple stones, as I said. I need to just scribble this actually. This is the 05 nib size, so it's really fine, which is what I wanted because this is quite a small item, but it does tend to block up a little bit, so you have to scribble it a bit. It doesn't really show up there, does it? You could do these lines in white as well. I might just do a bit of them in white so it looks a bit more shiny. And You could do some shine on these bits to make them look a bit more like they're standing out. But I don't know how well this pen will show up. So I'm just going to do a few little bits here and there. I don't know if it'll make that much difference, to be honest. Now some people do real sparkly shine with like star shapes and things. I've tried that before and I've never been able to pull it off, so I'm not going to try it on here. If you want to practice that and have a go, obviously you can, but I'm not going to. One last thing you might do, if you've got a really fine pencil and a very steady hand, you could put a bit of shadow under each of these teeny tiny gems at the top to emphasize the fact that they're sticking out. You can see at the sides where they're sticking out. I'm not sure it's completely necessary, and I'm not going to be able to achieve that look, I don't think, particularly with the position of my book and everything else. So I'm just going to leave it. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm quite happy with that. It looks a little bit more orangey than the padlock that we did before, and yeah, and it's quite sparkly. So thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day and happy colouring.